What is going on, everyone? It's Mike from Aerospace News, day 33. Really nice to have you here. I am having some audio problems, but that doesn't mean you don't get a show. Let's jump into it. We are going to talk about some fantastic articles today. One, Blue Origin is getting serious about developing a human spacecraft. So getting into the game with the Dragon crew capsule from SpaceX amongst the Russian Soyuz and the Chinese Shenzhou capsules. Very cool. There's also the Indian Gaganyaan capsule. I sincerely apologize if I obliterated that pronunciation. We are also going to talk about NASA canceling a multi-billion-dollar satellite servicing demo. Actually, I believe they had some scope creeps with the missions on X and Y and Z. So much more today on Space News, day 33. All right, let's get into it. So Blue Origin is getting serious about developing a human spacecraft. Blue Origin being the Jeff Bezos company, yet another billionaire-led company. So the space company, Blue Origin, is having a big year. They have a new chief executive, Dave Limp, who arrived in December. Dave is working to instill a more productive culture at the firm. Jeff Bezos sharing a meme of the tortoise and the hare, trying to compare the hare, SpaceX, to the tortoise, which is Blue Origin. The tortoise beating the hare. One of the funniest takes that I've seen was on Scrubs. The tortoise caught up to the hare and took a bite out of its calf, dragged it to the ground where all of the tortoises ate the hare alive. I thought it was funny. In January, the company's powerful BE-4 rocket engine performed very well on the debut launch of the Vulcan booster. Possibly as soon as August, Blue Origin's own heavy lift rocket, New Glenn, will take flight. So Blue Origin's infrastructure, this is their goal. They have a space capsule that they can put humans into. They're hoping to put a space station as well called Orbital Reef or something like that. So you have your rocket, your capsule, and your space station, all which connect to each other and all which service each other. Very interesting concept, very vertical integration style of a company. So, but wait, there's more. The company has also been hard at work developing hardware that will fly on New Glenn, such as the Blue Ring transfer vehicle, which is a orbital transfer vehicle. A rocket will get you roughly to where you want to be, and then an OTV will drag you up to your final destination. The said transfer vehicle will be used to ferry satellites into precise orbits. In addition, work continues on a private space station called Orbital Reef. One of the key questions about that station is how astronauts will get there. The only rockets they could load that crew capsule onto are from SpaceX, which is kind of funny, referring to the tortoise and hare comment. Boeing is an official partner on Orbital Reef. It has a crewed spacecraft, Starliner, set to make its debut flight in April. That's 3 U.S. companies making crewed capsules. So we have SpaceX, Crew Dragon, Boeing Starliner, and the Blue Origin. I think they're just calling it crew capsule. It has a crewed spacecraft Starliner, but there are more serious questions about Boeing's long-term commitment to Starliner beyond its 7 contracted missions with NASA, in addition to concerns that its price will be about 50% higher than Dragon if it ever flies. Blue Origin has also had some discussions with India about using its new crew capsule. All of these options have downsides, especially for a company that has a vision of millions of people living and working in space. It has long been understood that Blue Origin will eventually develop a crewed spacecraft vehicle, but when? United Launch Alliance is the combined efforts of Boeing and Lockheed Martin. That's a rocket company, and now Boeing by itself has the Starliner crew capsule, so it's kind of kept Lockheed aside on that. I guess they can pool resources for what was a very capital-intensive project, building a rocket, and then keep a less capitally intensive project, building a crew capsule, to themselves. A dozen years ago, the company was performing preliminary studies of a next-generation spacecraft that would provide transportation to low Earth orbit for up to 7 astronauts. So typically, these crew capsules have room for 4. Blue Origin ultimately received about $25 million from NASA's commercial crew program for dropping out. SpaceX and Boeing were the ultimate victors. So when you fit 4 humans side by side, that's about the width of give them enough space to be able to move around. All of the gear, you need to have the rocket, you need to have the system around them, enough space for the vehicle around them. So with all of that considered, 4 across just kind of makes sense engineering wise. Of course, you don't have to always be across. You could also create some sort of circular organization so that you could optimize for space. So for a time, the Crew project was on the back burner, but now it has become a major initiative within Blue Origin, with the company hiring staff to develop the vehicle. The first public hint of this renewed interest came in June 23, when NASA announced that Blue Origin was one of the 7 companies to sign an unfunded Space Act agreement to design advanced commercial space projects. So, SpaceX, I was going to say Amazon, Blue Origin, Boeing, Lockheed. Is Astra American? If Astra's American, Rocket Lab is American, New Zealand, so I'm going to say they perhaps got in on that, so that's 6. Not sure who the 7th would be. Later in a document explaining the selection process, NASA revealed that Blue Origin was working on a commercial space transportation system. This included a reusable spacecraft that would launch on the New Glenn rocket. Staffing up for a crew vehicle, so the best evidence that Blue Origin is serious about developing an orbital human spacecraft has come in recent job postings. For example, the company is seeking a leader for its space vehicle abort thrusters integrated product team. So the space vehicle abort thrusters, when your rocket that your capsule is connected to starts to go bye-bye or rapidly unscheduled or experiences a rapid unscheduled disassembly, you want your crew capsule to be able to get away so it does not participate in the explosion. So most human spacecrafts, and this is further detailed here. So these abort thrusters are part of their design. They're built into the crew vehicle and designed to automatically fire when there's a problem with the rocket. All of the crewed vehicles currently in operation, the Dragon, the Soyuz, and the Shenzhou, have such escape systems. There is no practical reason for abort thrusters on a non-human spacecraft. So a bit of forecasting, making implications through job postings. Thank you very much, Eric Berger, for the article. We are going to quickly hop over to NASA canceling a multi-billion-dollar satellite servicing demo mission. Congress just keeps throwing money at the OSAM-1 mission, but it faced continual delays. This mission was about refueling satellites in orbit that were not meant to be refueled. A satellite that requires the fuel in order to continue to propulse itself. Very difficult, and this was a project between NASA and Maxar. Here's an artistic illustration of the OSAM linking up with the Landsat 7 satellite. So OSAM on the bottom, Landsat 7 on the top. NASA has canceled an over-budget, behind-schedule mission to demonstrate robotic satellite servicing technology in orbit, pulling the plug on a project that has cost $1.5 billion and was going to almost double to get to the launch pad. The on-orbit servicing, assembly, and manufacturing 1 mission, better known as OSAM, would have grappled an aging Landsat satellite in orbit and attempted to refuel it, while also demonstrating how a robotic arm could construct an antenna in space. Are you hearing the scope creep now? It's like, do X. X is really complicated. Do X and Y with the same amount of money. What? So mission creep. The cost has ballooned since the project started in 2016. The original scope called for just the refueling demonstration, but in 2020, officials tacked on the in-orbit assembly objective, so the antenna assembly. This involved adding a complex piece of equipment called the Space Infrastructure Dexterous Robot Spider, essentially a 16-foot-long robotic arm to assemble 7 structural elements into a single K-band communications antenna. K-band, as far as I'm aware, typically transmits sub 100 megabytes per second. Not constructing this antenna for practical use, more constructing this antenna just to prove that you can construct this antenna in space. Very cool. So in addition of Spider, meant the mission would launch with 3 robotic arms, including 2 appendages needed to grab onto the Landsat 7 satellite in orbit for the refueling demonstration. With this change in scope, the name of the mission changed from Restore L to OSAM 1. All right, that's really cool. Here's a picture of the Maxar spacecraft bus for the OSAM 1 mission. Wow, it's very large. Almost 1.5 times the size of the humans working on it on each dimension. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Space News Day 33. I hope you have a